What if I told you Dodge may just lead the return of the Viper, not in a press release, not in a concept sketch, but quietly hidden on their new Charter Daytona web portal, while everyone else is caught up in the CUDA and the hidden logos on the wall, the frost on chambered exhaust system, and maybe trying to find some Hemi clues. Dodge might have just slipped some of the biggest surprises of all into the background of their configurator, and barely anyone noticed them. Okay, more over 41,000 friends and the 65% of you guys who keep watching but not yet hit that subscribe button. Inside the new virtual Dodge garage on the Dodge Portal site, there's a familiar silhouette up on the lift in the corner of the shop. At first glance, you might think it's just an Easter egg, but look again, the long hood, the low stance, that is a last generation Viper, and it looked just like this one right here from Stellantis' press release. It's not sitting on a pedestal like some kind of retired hero. It is on a lift as if Dodge is actively working on it. Now, to me, honestly, I think that's symbolism, that's intentional, and that's not just for decoration. Dodge is trying to tell us something here. And it doesn't stop there. If you look at the wall behind the Charger and around the whole entire garage, you see a line of racetracks on the garage. You got Road Atlanta, Laguna Seca, the Rapper Racing School, and the Vegas Race Park, which I couldn't really find that much information on it, so I'm assuming that's an old name for the Vegas Motor Speedway. And one thing that all those tracks have in common is one particular vehicle, and that is the Dodge Viper. Now, the 2016 Viper ACR set a record at Laguna Seca with, I think, Randy Post behind the wheel. A record so dominant, I think it took like several years for people to actually come close to beating. The Road Atlanta course, pretty much the same story. The Viper carved that particular course up. And the Rapper Racing School, formerly Bondurant, has been widely known and used to having Vipers there for training for high performance driving. And the Vegas Motor Speedway, that's been a hot spot for Viper meets over the years. So I don't think this is a coincidence. I think Dodge filled a new digital garage with Viper history, then dropped the Viper on the lift like it's getting prepared for its next lap. So the question is it? Now, right above the couch is an analog clock and it reads 1012. Now, if you've been following Dodge for years, you know that they've always used numbers to tease horsepower, right? You've had a situation where you had the 70s on 7 for the Hellcat, 2023 in the mileage, which could have symbolized the Demon 170 is coming. And then you had the 707 that was in the Ram Rebel that symbolized the TRX. So the question is, what does 1012 mean? Could this be a date we'll get an announcement of either a Viper or a CUDA on October 12th or maybe October 13th, which is on a Monday this year? I went around and looked to see if I could find any kind of significance with 1012, 1013, 1014, with the Challenger, the Charger, the Barracuda, the Viper, the CUDA, the SRT-10 truck, and I couldn't find really anything that happened in October with those vehicles, and I got nothing. So the 10 could be a shot at maybe 10 cylinders for the V10, but on the other hand, what does the other hand on the clock mean? So I tried all kinds sort of numbers. I tried production numbers for the Viper and even the SRT-10 truck, and I still got crickets. Now, I was given a hint about a sport truck, and it makes me wonder if we'll see a new version of SRT-10 truck with the Viper's engine coming back. So I said that in a previous video a few months ago about sport trucks on a rise. And so all this stuff about the Vipers in the actual background and stuff, it kind of gives me an actual feeling that maybe we'll see the Viper's V10 in the actual car and also the truck, but I'll talk about that in a second. But my best guess to this 1012 is on the clock, or 1013. I think it's a nod to the actual 1012 horsepower. Now, I don't know if this is for the CUDA or the Viper, but if it is, could this be Dodge teasing that a Elephant is going on inside of a Viper? We already know that Stellantis has multiple versions of the Elephant crate engines. The C170, which went into the Demon 170, that has 1,025 horsepower on E85. And then we had the 426 A170 that would make probably around like 1,000 horsepower or maybe 1,012 horsepower on pump gas. And that block is made out of aluminum. But I would think that if something like this was to happen, then maybe they would actually put that in a Demon 426 model, so the collectors will have 3 VIN matching Demons in their garage: a 2018 Demon, a 2023 Demon 170, and perhaps a 2028 426 Demon? That would make more sense to me. Or could Dodge be taking a different route entirely with the Viper? Now, the only other car on the Stellantis right now is a Maserati MC20. It's mid-engine, got a carbon tub, and designed to be a modular platform because it's designed to have gasoline and EV platforms. But I think Maserati had already announced the EV version. And as well, that Maserati has also used Ferrari designed V8s in the past. I don't know exactly what engine they're going to choose for this particular car, but could Dodge be prepping a new Viper on a modified MC20 chassis and even drop in maybe a twin turbo inline six, a Ferrari built V8 engine? We don't know. But my main concern with this whole rumor of what this Viper is the engine. I would be so pissed off if there was a V6 Viper. I don't care if it's inline six, they put the same V6 in there from the Maserati. It just does not make any sense to me if they were to make a V6. Now, a Elephant Viper, a V8, maybe that might convince people to go into that car since it'd be over 1,000 horsepower. But if you are a Viper purist, let me know down in the comments below if you can stomach a supercharged Elephant Viper. But a Ferrari engine in a new Viper sounds crazy. Maybe not so much because Ferrari has already made V8s for Maserati until just about a year or two ago. There's already a relationship there between Ferrari and Stellantis, especially since Exor still controls both those companies. Now, with Cosveras out as Stellantis CEO, there's certainly room for products being greenlit in the background, especially when you consider people like Ralph Giles, who's been pretty much the heart behind a lot of these products that a lot of people have been loving over the past few years. He's always been the guy fighting to bring a Viper back.
The thing I fought for but didn't get. Is that what you asked me?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Probably a Gen 6 Viper. Well, I wanted to get a paddle shift system in the Viper. We could not package it. I don't know if that would have saved the car. I think it's one of those cars that now that it's gone, people appreciate it more. But when it came out, everyone was like, well, it doesn't have paddle shift. It doesn't have this, doesn't have it, because we were broke. We made the car literally exiting bankruptcy. I don't even know how we got that car approved because we had a lot of bigger fish to fry at the time. So yeah, it was a miracle baby.
Now the path might finally be clear for this to happen, but honestly, I don't see why Dodge just bring back the actual original V10 engine and do some modern touches to it, like direct injection, variable valve timing, maybe do some lightweight internals, titanium, stuff like that. Kind of do some upgrades they learned from the Demon 170 and the actual Hurricane engines. That way they can handle more power, integrate E85, and maybe we can see 700 to 800-ish horsepower naturally aspirated and maybe higher RPM rev limiter, maybe targeting something like from the actual Z06 Corvette at 8,600 RPMs. Obviously just modernize the V10, just basically one hurdle that they can actually knock out. And I think that'd be a great way they can share that engine between the Viper and put one in the actual Ram truck again. Just saying, I have no idea if that's going to happen or not. And then basically the last hurdle is going to be the actual body. Is it going to be front engine? Is it going to be a mid-engine car? Is it going to be based on NC20? That's going to be a very big question mark. But don't forget, the old Viper plant in Detroit is now a museum. The Connor plant is no longer just a plant anymore. It's basically just a shrine. So I'm going to throw this out there that maybe Dodge should consider to turn that building back into a production facility to make low volume production, especially considering they need to avoid tariffs. And they're gonna have a plant sitting there and not really doing anything but holding cars. Why not reuse that building for something cool? Now I think it'd be a cool idea to me if they had the SRT team there doing some special cool projects, or maybe doing a jailbreak treatment to people's cars. You can go to the dealership, order a special order a car, you get sent to the Connor building, and you get like a one-off color, or you can get like a special color interior or any other kind of modifications, and you go pick it up from there. I think that'd be pretty cool. Kind of like how McLaren has MSO for special one-off stuff they do in people's cars. Maybe they can do like batches of restorations of previous Mopar vehicles to basically the factory spec. And it's basically going to be way more valuable than other cars because it's redone the factory spec. And it's basically done by the factory that made the car in the first place. So I think that'd be pretty cool. Maybe they can modernize, other classic Mopar vehicles that had not Hemis in them, but maybe like inline sixes. You swap those engines out and you can have Elephants or Hellcat engines or 392s in them, and you can get like factory back performance and factory back quality with no particular older Mopars. Keep them circles on the road. Maybe they can revitalize previous Vipers, because I was reading on the forums that a lot of people can't get some of these hard to find first or second gen Viper parts. So maybe that'd be something to do to kind of revitalize those cars and keep them back up and running. Or even they can go and install a new production line for Stella Large and basically make a very modified version of that platform. That way they can make a new Viper and maybe even another cheaper sports car that Dodge hinted at that they want to make affordable here in the American market. Now, Dodge was to build a new Viper, they would need a new facility or need to borrow one, kind of like Connor, or maybe the Maserati one in Moderna that makes them NC20 currently, or even maybe try to update one of their current North American facilities. But the Viper would not fit on a lot of those plants because they would need major retooling done, and I don't know if they can run a Viper and let's say a Charger Daytona on the same line. Now, a 5th gen Viper's wheelbase was 98.8 inches, and the problem with that is with the Stella Large platform, it only goes down to 113 inches on the wheelbase, which would make a new Gen 6 Viper 7 inches longer than a Lamborghini Aventador if it was built on the Stella Large platform. Now, the Stella Medium platform, on the other hand, it only goes down to 106-inch wheelbase as well, but that would make a new Viper pretty much right around the same size as C8 Corvettes. I think that vehicle is about 107-inch wheelbase. And the only problem with Stella Medium platform is there's only 2 plants that I know of that's tooled for Stella Medium, and both of them are in Europe. And that platform isn't really set up to have high horsepower vehicles, mainly front wheel drive or all wheel drive, cheap little vehicles, not for a high horsepower sports car. So I literally have no idea how Dodge is going to build this new Viper. It makes sense to me to base it off the MC20. That way they can have low development costs and already have a plant that's already set up to build a Viper that already exists making MC20s right now. If they build a new Viper based off an existing platform like the Stella Large, it is better suited for high horsepower vehicles, but it is way too long for a Viper. So that's why I threw the suggestion out there that maybe Connor be retooled again and basically have like a modified version of Stella Large that is shortened down to actually work on a vehicle with a small wheelbase like the Viper and maybe that potentially smaller sports car, basically how they used to do it at Connor where they made the Viper and the Prowler on the same assembly line. So I'm just saying that maybe history repeats itself and maybe Stellantis should kind of look into that. The Charger Daytona portal is not just a configurator, it is a roadmap, one where Dodge is quietly planting clues for their future trims, future performance numbers, and possibly the return of a new Dodge Viper along with the CUDA. Now, a Viper does not chase mass sales numbers. It is one that is built in limited numbers, maybe a few thousand, but they will be Corvette fighting cars. Hopefully powered by a modern V10 engine and built to go record hunting all over again. I would love to see that happen, and the Viper is one of those cars that I wish I could own, but finding the ACR is like next to impossible without paying a ton of money. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think Dodge is teasing the return of the Viper? Would you want to see it built based on the MC20 or have mid-engine based on another platform? Or should it stay true to its roots and come built as a raw front engine, American built, maybe with a manual V10 all over again, monster? Could we be entering into a health and Viper era? Or would you want it to be like it was, but just updated? Drop your thoughts in the comments down below. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. If you want to see maybe what a smaller baby Viper could look like, you can check out this video right here. And until the next time, I'm out.